You know what I mean?
I did. And it's stuff.
Good afternoon. We'll get started. A couple of things before we do. While the commissioners are making their way to their seats. Couple of things. We've got two presentations today. I'll ask you to be patient because we will have more commissioners that will be coming in during the presentation. So please don't let them bother you as they come in. Just keep going. But a couple of things that I want to just remind everybody of. We're asking for different things this year than we typically had in the past. And we do that for a simple reason. And I brought this. Commissioner Graham, he's got dibs on this first. I brought this catalog, and it's a 1993 Sears and Roebuck catalog. And I want you to think about this real quick. If you think Sears had any idea that they would be where they're at today in 1993 when this book was printed, it didn't. I mean, and even the Sears Tower is gone. But they had no vision of that back in 1993. And I think as a county government, we need to be thinking like Sears should have been thinking. And that is, number one, is we'll never really go out of business. But if we're not careful and we're not financial stewards for taxpayers' money, then we will force other people to go out of business. We'll force people to where we'll have to raise taxes. And then next thing you know, we'll have businesses that will be leaving Hamilton County and going to other counties. And that'll put us in a very bad position. So we've got to be really good financial stewards of not our money, but of your money if you live in Hamilton County, because taxpayer money, that's your money. And we're here to represent you. So those are things that we just want to make sure that people are thinking of and they're cognizant of. When you come do your presentation, we'll ask you to be thinking about the three buckets. I'll run through them again real quick. Bucket number one is you're asking more money. We want you to talk about what's that additional funding going to be used for? What is the impact of that additional revenue is going to be for the taxpayer of Hamilton County, Hamilton County as a whole, or the employees of Hamilton County, because there has to be a benefit in order for us to consider giving you more funding. Second thing is we'd like to know about your organization and what you're holding on to, the basic foundation of your budget, the basic foundation of your part of your operations. It's the core things. And then the third thing is really a business strategy. It's what are you transitioning away from? Things don't stay the same forever. With AI in the last couple of years, with technology improvements, efficiency improvements, things can be improved. So you don't need to spend the same dollars in the same account as you do every year. So we'll ask you, what are you transitioning to? So it doesn't mean you give it back, but it means we want you thinking about the efficiency of your operations and how you can be better ambassadors of our taxpayer money that we're looking at giving you with this new budget season. So kind of simple questions, but it really puts a lot of thought process in it. And those answers will give us a good idea of where you are with your budget and the knowledge of it. So with that said, we've only got two. Each group organization lead, we give them what, 20 minutes? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sheila, the boss. 20 minutes. Okay. So 20 minutes, we'll give each organization. We've only got two, so that'll give us 40 minutes. So we'll start. I had the schedule backwards, so Chattanooga Tourism will go first. So James, you want to come up and get us started?
Happy to do that. Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for letting me be here with you today. Donna, I'm going to let you do the slides. If you don't care, they're farther away than I thought they were. So thank you for letting us be here. Thank you for your partnership and your ongoing partnership. I am Susan Harris. I'm the interim CEO for the Chattanooga Tourism Co. And Commissioner, before I answer your specific questions, which I will, I just want to remind you guys of some of our work. So the mission of the Chattanooga Tourism Company is to promote and develop visitor experiences for our community's social and economic prosperity. So what does that mean? We are trying to get visitors here by marketing our destination and the assets that we offer. In 2024, we welcomed 11.1 million visitors, both day and overnight. And when we think of visitors, we're thinking of people who come from 50 to 70 miles away. Of those, we average about 12,000 people who spend the night in our hotels and short-term rentals. Those visitors led to a record-breaking $1.8 billion worth of economic impact in our community in 2024. That spending, to your question, how does it benefit us? It supports our local economy. It generates sales tax revenue. There are over 30,000 employees in the hospitality industry in our community. And our industry, from a workforce development perspective, creates pathways for career development, long-term success, and we also support a lot of small businesses through our work. When a visitor's here, where do they spend money? The largest amount of visitor spend is actually in food and beverage. It is in our restaurants. So again, small business owners, entrepreneurs, restaurateurs, and then we also, of course, the traditional categories that you're thinking, accommodations, retail, recreation, our attractions, transportation, those things. That spending directly $73 million in local taxes in 2024. I'm using 2024 because we use state validated research numbers, and that's the last year that those are available. We'll get 2025s in a couple of months, and I'm happy to come back and share those with you when we get those. But that's why we're using these numbers, because they're not our numbers, they're state of Tennessee numbers. And so those are why we use that. That $73 million in local taxes helps households, Hamilton County taxpayers, people like me, people like you, save over $1,200 in annual taxes a year based on what visitors spend in our community. So what are we looking for this year? Our budget request is that I'm sure you have in front of you, $10,084,977, a very specific number. Why is it a very specific number, you ask? So years ago, as you guys know, we got 100% of the collections. We have heard from this body and from the county in general that that's not something that makes sense to anybody anymore. And so what we have continued to do is project what those collections will be, and then we based our request on a percentage of that. So this number represents 85% of what we think the collections will be. So that's how we came to this specific number. That is a 2.7% decrease from what we asked for last year. It is a 13.7% increase from what we were allocated last year. And that's the adjusted allocation that takes into account both that was passed in the budget as well as the change that was made in February. But we are going to answer your questions about investing, maintaining, and transitioning. So what are we investing in? Quite simply, as a destination organization, we are investing in sales and marketing. Our goal is to bring more visitors to Chattanooga. In our budget, in the budget request that you have, there's a 51% increase in sales and marketing expenses in the request that we made for you. We are investing in sales and marketing. We market, again, outside of Chattanooga, those visitors from a minimum of 50 to 70 miles away. You see this map, the solid states are those contiguous local states we do a lot of advertising in. And then the dots, you will notice, are other places where we have strategically done other marketing investments. Some of those include partnerships with organizations like the Chattanooga Airport. If you are a fan of geography, you might identify Denver on that map as a dot. You might identify Chicago or Detroit. You might identify some of the new markets in Central and South Florida where our Chattanooga Airport is working to increase direct flights. So we are working in partnership with them from an economic development perspective to drive visitation back and forth in those areas. That's part of our investment. We do that through digital, targeted, programmatic, social media, lots of different types of advertising. And we have some samples for you on this slide. Again, a common question that we get is, well, I never see your commercials. That is correct. If you are not traveling outside of Chattanooga, you will not see our commercials. We are not advertising heavily in Chattanooga for people to visit Chattanooga. We are advertising outside of Chattanooga to get people to come visit. So I know I'm a EPB customer, watch a lot of local programming. I'm getting hit left and right with Pigeon Forge and Sevierville. I don't know if you're seeing those commercials, but we're in those markets that were on our maps, inundating that in lots of different ways. And that's the strategy and the way we do that. We also have done a lot of work optimizing our website, and there's continued investments in that, using data to continue to do that to make sure that we're meeting our visitors with what they're looking for. A huge part of our marketing investment is also public relations. And we have had great success recently with international recognition, things like NPR and Forbes, with National Geographic. We are doing good and important work to host journalists, to show them what our community has to offer, to help pitch stories. Right? A journalist who writes for National Geographic doesn't just one day decide they want to write about Chattanooga. We've sent them a lot of information. We've hosted them here. We've done what we call a discovery tour. We've showed them a lot of places. Our partners, our restaurateurs, our hotels, our attractions help to show them what makes our area a desirable place for visitors to come. And so we do that work. Other places I'd already mentioned some of the research. We continue to invest in research. So we have data-driven work, promotional materials that support all of that, and then some other special initiatives, one of which comes in the next slide as we talk specifically about some of our conventions and trade shows. So the other part besides marketing is sales. We're doing a lot of sales work for meetings and conventions, working in concert with our convention center to try to get more meetings and conventions here. In just about 6 weeks, we will host over 500 female travel journalists. It's called the Women in Travel Summit, and it is travel journalists from all over the world who will spend days with us here in Chattanooga, experiencing what Chattanooga, Hamilton County, the outlying areas will have to offer. And those type of special investments, that kind of work, those are long-term work. We've been working on this particular event for many years in order to get them to select Chattanooga. It's going to be a fabulous time to showcase our city. So what are we maintaining? What are we maintaining? We are continuing to do the core work that we do well. A big piece of that is support for our partners and existing events, right? We want to continue to do that work. So the picture there is from last year's IBMA World of Bluegrass event. They are in town again this year. They are in town next year. We will continue to work with them to help them with all that they need for their attendees, for the convention, for their awards show, for their music ramble, for their festival. We continue to support events that are here. We have an incredible convention services team that does that work every day. So if you were here and walking around downtown over the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks, you might have run into a multitude of students from across the state of Tennessee, right? DECA, HOSA, FBLA, FCCA, name a student acronym, TISA. They were here. We had record-breaking attendance. Most of those groups, 3,500, 2,500 students. We are working with them. We're working with their meeting planners. We're helping make sure they have a good experience while they're here. And then we have our information center that's on Aquarium Plaza. And that is a way that we connect with visitors who are here, leisure traveler visitors. We are continuing some of our strategic partnerships. We put a new visitor information kiosk at Outdoor Chattanooga. We're actively working with the airport to put another one there. So again, those things that we do well, sharing visitor information, we want to maintain that at a high quality, and we want to continue to do that in the community. And then other things that are maintaining this year are year 2 of our partnership for the Michelin Guide of the American South. We had 4 restaurants that received recognition, which is a bit unheard of for a market the size of Chattanooga. And that, again, is something that we worked on in partnership with the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. And then we are finishing the last of our destination development studies. So the last question, what are we transitioning? Well, we are focusing on efficiency and effectiveness. Our payroll cost in the request that we made to you was 8.2% less than the request we made of you last year. And that was turned in, as you know, by January 30th. That request was made then. Since that time, we've had a leadership transition. We're continuing to look at our organizational structure. We are continuing to optimize that work and talk to our team about how we continue to focus in these sales and marketing areas, and we'll continue to do that. We are transitioning. I was here 2 weeks ago with Tim Morgan with the Sports and Events Corporation. We are transitioning sporting events and working collaboratively with Tim and sharing those client information, working on fulfillment. We want our clients to have good experience, but we understand that that is not the place that we are focusing right now. And so we are transitioning that work in a very direct way. We anticipate that the changes that have occurred since February will result in another 5% reduction in some of our salaries and wages. So again, to your point earlier in your questions, Commissioner, we are continuing to be thoughtful about efficiency and effectiveness in the way that we do that, and looking really to create like Sears and Roebuck. I used to go through the, sign, like what I wanted for Christmas, right? Like the wish book piece of that. But we're trying to be flexible, right? We're trying to prepare our organization to be ready to adapt to those disruptions. We do not employ any fortune tellers. We don't know what they will be, but we are certainly working with our staff to develop the skill set to be flexible for what those disruptions will be. So what kind of return do you get on that investment? Again, if we use our 2024 numbers, in 2024, the public investment that we received in total was $10,992,003. And that the bulk of that comes from you. We had some city investment and some state of Tennessee investment. So public dollars investment, that was the total number. And that $1.8 billion worth of spending return is an unbelievable 16,328% return on investment that I can't fathom. We used a ROI calculator to plug those. Like that's not a thing I get, right? If we look at the local taxes, it's over 500%. It's over 500% return on investment. So we are investing these funds. We are bringing people here so that they might experience our community. They will support our local community. They allow the developers and the investors who have built hotels and restaurants and expanded their businesses to have that economic prosperity for them. So we have to have people here to fill those restaurants. We have to have people here to fill those hotels. And so that is the work that we are doing. It helps keep Chattanooga competitive, and it helps us continue to meet up with the rising demand. Since 2024, we've had over 1,287 new hotel rooms in our market. So we have to be filling that many more rooms to stay level to where we have been for those hoteliers' occupancy and average daily rate. So that is the work we're doing. We're promoting the destination. Again, we're supporting over 30,000 local jobs and driving additional tax revenue for local government. So happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
We do have a couple lights. Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I heard some pretty incredible numbers that you shared with us. 30,000 people working in hospitality.
Yes, sir.
1.8 million.
Billion with a B. Yes, sir.
It's pretty incredible.
It is.
And return on the investment, pretty good.
It's a big number.
It's not bad. It's not bad. But I do have a couple of questions for you. I'm downtown a lot.
Yes, sir.
And I see the tourists enjoying themselves. But there's a couple of populations that I continue to miss. I do see the Hispanic population increasingly showing up downtown. What are you doing to invite that market in?
Absolutely. So, so we have started several years ago a Culture, Heritage, and Arts Coalition that is a joint effort from our marketing team and our engagement and impact team. And basically, we are talking to, first of all, our local cultural partners to understand who they think their customers are and how they would like us to do that marketing. And then some of our display ads, some of our work that we're doing in digital. Again, the largest majority of our advertising is digital. So we can target in specific areas, we can target specific demographics. And so we adjust those things based on what we're seeing and hearing from website traffic research and what we're hearing from our website partners. I'm going to pause and see if there's anything my chief marketing officer would add to that answer, just to make sure I'm giving you good information.
Yeah, I'll just say that the creative work that we do in our marketing is going to reflect those same audiences.
Come up to the mic so we
Yep.
can,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
will have to be
Yeah.
broadcast.
How you guys doing? Yeah, for our creative work in our marketing, we're using different diversity in the actual creative that we're doing to help with the targeting. And with digital marketing, it gets put out there, and the people that are responding, the people that you are seeing coming in as part of that mix is largely because of that diversity in the marketing itself. Yeah.
Now, there's another population, and it's largely absent when I look. I don't see a lot of Black tourists on the bridges, in the restaurants. What are you doing to speak to them?
So I believe the answer is going to be very similar to what David just answered, in the sense of utilizing basically the demographic mix of the ad, right? So I think about things that I learned working with the Howard School when I was at Rock City and we did the Tourism Academy there. One of the things that Dr. Charles Mitchell, who was then the assistant principal, I don't know what he's done since Dr. Ware has left, but he talked a lot about, right, if the students can't see themselves somewhere, they'll never go there and be there. And so we've been very intentional in, whether that be in our magazine, in our digital ads, and other places, to make sure that we are representative of all types of demographics, ages, race, across the board, single, married, family groups, multi-generational family groups. We would have to specifically dig in. It's always hard to take anecdotal market research
Sure.
and try to answer that,
Right.
but I'm happy for us to try to look into that for you.
My last thing is I read the Chronicle. It's a Black newspaper. And I don't see anything that speak to them, the Black population, and especially word of mouth, where they would be inclined to say to their friends and relatives in other locations, come. Chattanooga is a good place to visit. So I guess part of what I'm trying to say, can you advertise like in the Black newspapers or media or whatever?
So we're happy to consider that. Again, our definition of a visitor is 50 to 70 miles away. So we do not advertise in any of our local publications other than the Travel Inspiration magazine that we produce, that we both provide to people in market as well as provide at welcome centers and other places. We do highlight events that come from some of our local partners on our website. Rakita Dotley just forwarded me the information on the South Chattanooga Juneteenth celebration, which is, I believe, on June 20th, on Saturday, June 20th. And that will be listed in our events and be a part of our social media rotation.
But again, invest a little bit more.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for a great presentation. I apologize, I'm a few minutes late, but your ask last year, what did you receive? Hear that part.
Our ask last year from you guys was 10,366,500. So last year we were looking at that flat response that we had gotten for a couple of years. And this year we looked at what we think the revenue will be. And our request is 85% of what we think Hamilton County's lodging tax collections will be. So that's a variable number, right? We could overperform what our estimate is of what those are, or we could underperform if we and others don't do a good job of bringing visitors to the community.
Okay, so this is hotel, motel, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we're specifically basing
Yeah.
that judgment off
You're
of.
only asking this time for 85% of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good
That
deal.
was the basis that we made our request. And we requested 35% of what we assume the city of Chattanooga's collections will be. So our budget includes $14 million total. So we are asking you all for a little over 10, and we have asked the city for a little over 3.5 in their budget process.
I'm glad you're asking the city.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Graham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Actually, that was part of my question. So are we anywhere closer in negotiations with the city to where we pay half and they pay half?
I wish, Commissioner, that I knew the answer to that. What I will tell you is that we have worked with the city and the county both, the mayor's office here and the mayor's office at the city, for a consultancy group that is currently studying lodging taxes in our area. And they have had, so the county representative and the city representative, folks from our organization, went through an RFP process, interviewed potential consultants. That was late last year. We started the work in February. They have had conversations with both municipalities. They've also had conversations with East Ridge, with Collegedale, with Saudi Daisy and Red Bank, who, although they collect lodging taxes, they collect this much. And most of our conversation with them really was telling us about who we were and how we could potentially help them promote things in their community within that. We have also had meetings since kind of at the halfway point, sharing with them what we're looking at. We've got some competitive information from destinations inside and outside the state. It was a suggestion made actually from Mayor Wamp that we focus our competitive analysis on the state of Tennessee because the legislative environment is similar. So we're looking more at Nashville, Knoxville, Pigeon Forge, Memphis, looking at the comparative of how they are funding both tourism promotion as well as tourism development. So we understand, and that's been the question, and we've heard that loud and clear, right? That old agreement, that old handshake that you guys did promotion and the city did development, we have heard that is not what anyone is interested in. And so what we are working on is what are alternatives to that? And we are providing that information back. We've got some stakeholder meetings back with the city and the county jointly. What day, Donna, are you looking at? The end of April? First week of May, based on their calendars. We were hoping to get it done by the end of April, but the first week of May, where the city and county mayors and the consultants will be in a room, we'll talk through what we've seen, what we have. Our goal is to provide the information. I would love to be able to say, we'd love 50% of yours and 50% of yours, and y'all do that, and life is great. I don't think we have the power to do that. So we're trying to give them the data and the information, look at the comparative pieces of that so that they can help make those decisions. So we are moving that forward with some urgency, and it is our hope that we'll come out with an agreement. My greatest hope that we would come out of that with, and what our board has focused on, we would love long-term agreements with each of the municipalities so that none of us are really thinking this through on a year-to-year basis. To your, again, your original point of how do we think down the road, years down the road, if we had an agreement that said it was 50% or it was 48% or it was 52% or whatever the numbers are, if we had that agreement, then we would be able to market, we would be able to do sales, we would be able to commit to events 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, and then you all would know what you had for capital investment in product development. So that's the goal, is to come out with a long-term strategy. So we are doing that work. That is funded, much like the sports facility study, through a Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, ARPA grant. So we are utilizing resources that the state of Tennessee has made available to us so that we are not using lodging tax or taxpayer dollars in our community to do these research things. We're using other money so that we can use your money to market, promote, and support events.
I totally agree with the amount of money that you're spending. I totally agree with your business program. I mean, or your business plan. Anytime you can spend 10, $15 million and bring back $1.8 billion and create 30,000 jobs, we need to do that all day long, every day. Okay. So I totally agree with that. And you're right. The agreement was many years ago, and it
Sure.
was to redo the riverfront, which we're redoing again, but with state funding mostly. And so we're very fortunate there. But I think there is a time when you make an investment in advertising or anything else for that matter, you need to calculate your return on investment and then maybe make some other investments with that money. So I would like to see us sooner than later come up with a number for your budget and then the city and the county split it. I'd like to see that, like I said, sooner or later. I'm supporting your budget. Don't misunderstand me. I know it's a
Yes.
work in progress, but, and I totally agree with what you're doing. I just think we need to get there.
The other thing we would like for you all to consider, if it makes
you, Ms. Chairman.
sense, is a percentage basis of what those collections are. So again, we've talked about that as it grows. As supply grows, we need to market more to continue to fill those hotels. If we are successful and those hotels are full, if we are on a percentage basis, if it's 50-50, whatever it is, then your number is also getting bigger. Your product development number is getting bigger if the total pot of money. So right now in Hamilton County, between everyone who collects lodging taxes, we are just under about $24 million total. Our dream, what our executive committee is focused on, we'd like to see that number go to $30 million. And then that is more for you all, more for the city, more for East Ridge, more for Collegedale, right? The product development, the ability to invest in what we do. And I would turn you back to our mission. The work that we do brings visitors, but when small businesses invest in our town, when we invest in, like the sports facilities, we've talked about that, Chairman Smith, out of town may use those things on the weekend, our residents use them through the week. Visitors go eat in Michelin restaurants. I go eat in Michelin restaurants. Hopefully you go eat in Michelin restaurants. Some of them are in your district. They are fabulous places, right? Small businesses that our residents in. So it helps everybody. I agree with you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay. We got 3 more lights, so we just need to be cognizant. We got 911 to go as well. So,
Okay.
Commissioner Sharp.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. It's great. I've got a few questions here. I'll try to cut to the chase. First of all, I'll say that I love the idea of a long-term agreement. Long-term planning helps ensure success. That's something I wish that we would do here on this body for quite a while. Hopefully, we'll be able to endeavor into that in the coming years. Let me ask a couple questions. Who are our peers? Well, let me start here. With regard to occupancy and revenues, how are we trending over the last 3 years?
If I give you the straight occupancy and revenue numbers, at times they will look positive. We are outperforming the market. But again, we have 1,200 new rooms. So we are in fact not necessarily keeping up. So we are flat or a little down. Yes. Flat or a little down based on the new hotel rooms that we have. That is substantially better than some of our peer cities. The challenge is that answer makes great sense if you look at data. It makes no sense if you've just invested in a brand new hotel, right?
Right.
You don't want to be right at flat. You want to be growing. Or if you have an existing property that's competing against a new property. So peer cities, it is going to depend on whether we're talking leisure or meetings and conventions. So we are competing against Asheville, Greenville, for meetings and conventions, Louisville, Lexington, Cincinnati at times, Nashville at times. When our hotel rates get too high, Right. A reason somebody might choose us over Nashville is for rate and walkability and safety and some of those things. When our rate gets too high, we lose some of that. Regionally, then it is those cities and really anybody that's in that driving market. We are still predominantly
Well,
a
the
drive
50 to
market.
75 miles.
So a drive market is going to be longer than that. It's about a 4 to 5 hour
Okay.
drive radius is what we're looking at for drive travelers.
So in comparison with these peer cities, how do we stack up with our marketing capabilities, our budgets?
We are not stacked up with our marketing compared to those peer cities. And I brought some of those numbers. So Asheville currently has had a major reduction in their budget because of the suffering they had on collections after Hurricane Helene. They've gone from 39 million to 25 million in their
39
promotion.
million.
From 39 million to 25 million in their promotion, marketing and promotions budget. Savannah is at 18 million, Memphis is at 18 million, Lexington is at 14 million, and Greenville is at 12 million.
Okay. And then over the course of the last 3-ish years, how have we trended? Again, do you have those numbers with you? I don't have them right in front of me.
Let's be cognizant of time because we've
Yeah,
got
I don't. I can
23
send them
minutes.
back to you.
Okay. I would
We
be
have a
interested in that.
dashboard that shows that and shows some of that, and we absolutely can send you. We are not keeping up with supply. We are not keeping up. And again, hoteliers are not making a decision today to open a hotel next week. They're making a decision 5 years ago
Right.
to open a hotel today. And so if we are not keeping up with those new properties that are coming online now, they've already made those financial commitments. And that has the economic
You did a
challenge for
wonderful
them.
job anticipating my question and answering it before I got a chance to ask it. In the sake of time, Chairman, I do appreciate it. Thank
Sorry
you very
about that.
much. No, it's perfect.
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, just real quick. You said 1,200 hotel rooms since when? Increase?
2024,
22. Oh, wow.
2024.
Less than 2 years.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
That includes the latest ones that'll open this year.
Okay. I just needed the year.
Yep.
I didn't hear it. I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. I know that you have been through a lot. I know that you're going through a lot right now. And I just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing. And the chairman, I'd like to thank you for your leadership. So y'all are doing a great job. So please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Commissioner Shipley, do you have a closing comment?
I'll be real brief. I was in a conversation this morning, and I do believe, maybe you may know, if you don't, I'll call Tim, but we are bringing TWSAA baseball state championship Chattanooga this year.
So part of that transitioning work is spring events that are happening right now that are on our schedule. And those go to the 480 funding. Middle school baseball, middle school softball, high school tennis are all spring TWSAA events coming.
Great.
Yes,
Good
sir.
job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You
y'all.
did a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Carney.
Thanks, sir. I don't know if it's fair that I follow a professional marketing executive for my presentation. Not to chastise you. My name's Jeff Carney. I'm the executive director of Hamilton County 911, 3404 Amnicola Highway. While she's doing that, this is our first time before the commission for something like this. As I think most of you know, we are a special government district. Our board approves our budget. We are required by law to file that with the county clerk's office, and we always provide a copy of that to you. However, we have a unique relationship with Hamilton County and with all the municipalities in Hamilton County except for Lookout Mountain. And that is we provide dispatch and call taking services for them under the unification agreement that was signed in 2008. We unified services in 2009. So typically what happens, we prepare our budget according to that agreement. We have a formula that says how much we're going to charge each client agency, and that's based on call volume and population. And what the client agencies pay for is just the telecommunicators. So personnel there that are answering the telephones and are dispatching on the radio. The district pays for all the supervision, all the training, all the operations staff, other than the telecommunicators. They pay for administration, for technology, and of course, we keep the lights on, all the bills, et cetera. So we prepare that. We have a funding committee, which Lee Browner is a member of that funding committee. We present that to the funding committee, and then we send an invoice to those governing bodies that are part of that agreement, showing them what the charges are going to be for that upcoming FY. And that's typically how we've done it. For this year, we're trying to address an issue that we've had for several years, really since COVID. And before I go much further, I have to say, I have my muscle here. Daisy Madison, anybody knows Daisy Madison, the former CFO from Chattanooga. So if I get a hard time, I'll call her up. Also in the back row there, I have my technology director, Chris Gaynor, my operations director, Barbara Lovelace, my finance and administration director, Jay Donick, and my human resource director, Angel Gohagen. So everybody's here. I got people who can give me the numbers. Jay helps me with math, and we're ready to go. And it went away. I'm not going to try to do it. So the problem we got into right after COVID, we had no turnover during COVID. Right after COVID, the bottom kind of fell out of it. And it's not just in Hamilton County, it's not just in Tennessee, it's nationwide. Nationwide, 80% of the 911 centers in America have a severe staffing shortage. We've been facing a 25 to 30% vacancy rate at Hamilton County since COVID. Our normal staff is 137 telecommunicators. You take away about 30% of that, and at times we got close to 50% of that down. We work a lot of overtime, which causes a lot of stress, which increases the turnover. So we were in a vicious cycle there. 3 years ago, we went and brought in a consulting firm. That consulting firm met with our people. Thank you. They met with our people, they did a questionnaire, and then they also studied our salaries, our staffing model, workplace culture, and other things like that. And we've been working this for 3 years now. So we're only looking at these 4 positions under scope there: the telecommunicator trainee, the telecommunicator advanced, and the telecommunicator senior. The trainee is our entry-level position. Those personnel, we hire them, they come in, we train them, they go through about 2 months of academy training, then they go through almost 8 months of on-the-job training with a certified training officer on the floor. It takes about a year or more to train a telecommunicator, from trainee to telecommunicator. Once they complete that training, they go immediately to telecommunicator. That's automatic. For the telecommunicator advanced, that is an assessed promotion. We tried to build in career pathing about 7 years ago. That's an assessed promotion. They apply for that position, go through an assessment center, and then if selected, then they expand their capabilities. So the telecommunicators are either doing law enforcement and call taking, or they're doing fire EMS and call taking. So the advanced does all of that. The telecommunicator senior is another assessed promotional position where they have to apply for it, be assessed, and be promoted. And they do everything the telecommunicator advanced does, and also can fill in as supervisors if needed. So, as I said, we provide coverage countywide, everywhere except the town of Lookout Mountain, Tennessee. We added Saudi Daisy just last year. We answer over 600,000 calls a year. We make over 400,000 outbound calls a year. We dispatch over 350,000 calls a year, and that's just incidents dispatched. As you know, most of those incidents have more than one unit on it. If it's a fire call, they could have 10 to 15 or more units on it. So out of those 350,000, we're handling a lot of units during that. We process over 650,000 talk time minutes on the radio. That's the equivalent to one person keying up and talking for over a year and a half, is if you want to put that into perspective. We've got 175 budgeted positions total in the district. Operations has 160 of those. So operations is where the work gets done. 137 of those, as I said, is our telecommunicator positions. She also has the supervisors, which the district pays for, the training staff, the terminal agency coordinator, which is required by the TBI, admin support, and then the director herself over there. Our answer speed, over 97% of our calls are answered within 9 seconds. That exceeds national standards by a considerable margin. Our abandon rate is less than 1%. Less than 1% of all calls are abandoned, which means someone hangs up before we can answer it. A lot of those are pocket dials because we have to call all of those back, and a lot of those are pocket dials who, hey, I didn't mean to call. To put that into perspective, in 2006, before the unification, almost 30% of the calls were abandoned, and we went from 30% to less than 1%. I'm going to try to speed up so I can get to questions in the meat of this.
Thank you. While you're
So-
speeding up, I've heard Central One on the radio. He keeps 20 seconds or a lot of times. So.
Oh no. So what we're looking at is our telecommunicator salaries, which directly affects the client agencies. So when we did our market study with the consulting firm, we came back at the board's request, and our HR division also went out and looked at the market, not only locally at the private market and the public market here, but across the state of Tennessee. You know, the consultant, just like y'all's consultant in Hamilton County, they look at a lot of similar sized organizations throughout the area. We looked at Tennessee only. One of the things we did look at, especially last year, was trying to come up with some ratio we can keep up with. And what we came up with was what we're calling the respect ratio. So the respect ratio, we compare our positions with public safety positions here locally. So let's look at what the sheriff's deputy and the Chattanooga police officers start out at. And we take the average of that. And we compare that average to our telecommunicator and our telecommunicator trainee. And what we want to shoot for is 70 to 80% of that average. I'm sorry, 80 to 90% of that average of what the actual field responder is making. And that gives us a target. It's not saying that we want to make as much as those field responders. It's saying that that's a target that we know that gets adjusted, and we can kind of place ourselves somewhere on the margin for that target and try to keep up with this so we don't get in this situation again. So further calls for why we need to address this. Like I said, we've got a 25 to 30% vacancy. As we get into those advanced tiers and the senior tiers, we've got a 93% vacancy, just simply because the salary is not there to really promote people being interested in those positions. When we did a survey, 78% of our people said they did not feel competitively paid compared to other public safety or communication centers in Tennessee. 84% said they didn't feel competitive compared to private, but that's, we know we can't compete with private. Another situation we've got in this budget is EMS talk time on the radio. So EMS has grown quite a bit. Their call volume has increased 50% in the past 10 years. And EMS came to us several years ago and said that they wanted a second position in dispatch, so a second radio channel for EMS down there. And they didn't formally request it at that time because they knew that we were at the height of our staffing shortage right there, and that we couldn't staff it even if they asked for it. So at this point, talked to Director Batson, and he said it's really a safety issue for EMS right now, that they are so busy that they can't get through on the radio. Sometimes they're having to stop and wait. And if a crew gets in trouble out there or needs help or needs another ambulance, that he's worried that they're going to have to wait And obviously, if they're getting attacked or they're in a dangerous situation, that could be very costly. So we've included in this year's budget to add 5 positions. That's how much it takes to add 1 radio position. So we're including adding that extra position. Looking at the market, again, this is the comparison for the field responders, their pay at the entry level, the mid level, and the supervisor level, compared to our entry level, mid level, and supervisory levels. And again, we're not trying to match those of the field responders. We're using that as a target, and we're looking at going 80 to 90% towards that. Other market comparables, this is from the U.S. Census. The public admin median in Hamilton County is 55,251. You see there for the BW assembly plant, the IT help desk entry, which is more than ours, but of course those IT help desk entry, number one, aren't talking to people who need help in an emergency involving medical or someone breaking into their house or their house on fire, and they don't go through 1 year of training. And then we are exceeding Amazon and the standard call centers. So we also compared ourselves with other Tennessee 911 centers, and we looked at the 911 centers that are similar to us in population. So these are the top 10 centers in Tennessee based on population, and that gives us a good comparison. You can see where we're at today at the bottom of that. I didn't choose just those that are making more than us. This is the top 10. And included in that top 10, we also got THP and the Tennessee Valley Authority because they're here locally. When you compare the job positions, what our people do at 911 versus those, it's not really comparable. And we're way down there. So you can see what we're making now in red and where we want to go to in blue. Oh, no. So we'll go through all of those for each level, and you can see we're at the bottom of this for just about every level and where we're wanting to go to. The MIT median wage, the benchmarks again, and again, this is the benchmarks that we're comparing to. This is where we're wanting to move our salaries to, and you can see the percentage increases. We're also, based upon the consultant study, we're looking at a 50 cent off-hour shift differential for our second, third shifts. Now, the reason I think we're here, first of all, the district, this is for the FY27 budget. The district is paying 49% of the total budget. Ours is not completed yet. It's very close. We're estimating our total budget will be 22 million. Of that, we're paying 49%. The city of Chattanooga is paying 30%. Hamilton County's 13%. And then you can see how it goes on down through there. And that's typically what it looks like every single year. Historically, if we go over, so if we spend more on our telecommunicators than what we build the client agencies, the district pays for that out of pocket, and we don't ask for it back. In FY18, we actually spent under a considerable amount, and we actually paid that back to the client agencies because we basically overcharged you. What we're looking to do is a 4-year phased-in plan where we provide 75% of the funding for this the first year. And what that looks like is this. So we'll subsidize 75% of this the first year because we don't want surprise billing, right? So that results in an increase to the county this year of $93,000 in FY27. Now, the standard increase, the average increase for the past 5 years to the county has been $142,000. So this is actually less than what you would standard pay or normally pay if we were not doing a big salary adjustment. A lot of that is due to the fact that we're paying 75% of it out of our reserves, out of our restricted reserves, just so we don't do a big impact on our clients in 1 year. Next year in FY28, we'll split it 50-50. Again, trying to give y'all time to make adjustments for this. In FY29, we'll carry 25%. The clients are 75%, which is a bigger impact. However, we're giving you way advance notice on that and time to prepare. By FY30, everybody's up to full. The amount comes down just a little bit. And then in FY31, we return to normal and you're at a normal rate, which is just over $100,000. So doing that would allow us to bring our telecommunicators up to market. You know, Chattanooga Police just was very successful in doing this with their police officers. Mayor Kelly announced just last week that they are fully staffed now. Sheriff Garrett, of course, has been very successful with the salaries for his deputies. We're wanting to do the same thing for our telecommunicators. I think this is the key to getting us back to full staff. You know, we followed the tourism company here. Think about all those tourists that come in here too. We don't get $1.50 from their cell phones, but we take care of them when they're here. So our people do a really good job. We work with everybody as openly as we can, and I appreciate any question.
Okay. Don't see any lights. Did you bring in that paper that did you bring in?
I brought one of them, sir.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind, I'll tell you what, Patricia, I'll give you this one copy. If you'll make sure that each one of the commissioners get a copy of this.
Okay.
And we can get it later. It's fine. That's fine. So basically it's a stair step up and then back down.
Yes, sir.
So it's more finance you wanted from county government for the next 4 years.
Yes, sir.
And then it tails back to what we were at before.
Yeah, it's not a shell game, but you know, the first year we're making it pretty sweet by paying 75%. So like I said, your average cost will go down for this first year. And then the next year we're still carrying 50%. So you're coming out pretty good there too. And then as it goes up, of course, that's when you start to see the impact. So we
Okay.
wanted to give advance notice and try to phase this in. We've always done that. If we've had to do a salary grade adjustment, we've never had to do one this big before. We've talked that I was surprised that we were this far out of market compared to our peers in Tennessee. Our telecommunicators see that. I've lost people to Washington County. I've lost people to Williamson County. I've lost people to Rutherford County. I've lost people to Walker County, Georgia, because we're not paying competitive compared to those. So we hope that this can pass and that this will help take care of that problem.
If you could share this slide, Patricia, if we could get that to you and you can share it with commissioners, because I know they'll probably want to look at it because we didn't go through every detail of it.
Right.
And I think it's important the commissioners look at it. I do have one light. Commissioner Hollander, it's very quick.
Very briefly, sir. I just, like most of the other commissioners, I've been through your center. I just want to commend you for the remarkable job you do and your people do. It's such a blessing to this community. We need to do what we can to help you, but thank you so much for all you do. And I believe you have a special week this week, don't you?
Yes, sir. It's National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. Everybody's fat on ice cream sandwiches right now, sir. Thank you.
Fat boys.
Fat boys, yeah. I held one in front of me. It said Fat Boy, so it covered my nameplate. Yeah, it is National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week all week. So if you would like to stop by, we'd love to see you. Come down and see the telecommunicators. Tell them what you think of them.
And you're open 24/7, right?
We're always there, always there. If we're not, something is really bad wrong. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you, you coming in. Appreciate it.
yes, sir.
That concludes our budget presentations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Give them a moment. Madam Clerk, are we set?